let's get started. Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Live Feature Rant. I am your host, Legendary Neurotoxin, coming at you here as I am every week. And on our screen right, Adam, who was out
Hey!
being busy last week, which it's all
Excuse me.
good. We
Yeah,
understand.
was busy making money,
Busy making
earning my
money.
paycheck.
Yep. Can't fault you for that.
But I'm here this week.
Yep.
Yep, I'm
Yep.
here this week, so I shouldn't have to bow out again, but if I do, it'll only be for the next couple of weeks and then things will be back to normal, but should be okay moving forward. Yay!
All right. Very cool. Very cool. And on screen left, returning for, geez, I want to say like maybe the third or fourth time
At
here.
least third time, yeah. Third
Yep.
or fourth time, yeah.
Dygz.
Easily.
Dygz, he is awesome. He's back. Welcome, Dygz.
Thank you for having me.
It is great to have you. And anybody who doesn't know Dygz, where have you been? Like you know,
Diggs is a regular, upbeat and fairly positive member of the community, and always great to have around, contributing to the conversations every week.
yep, with forums and messages and hanging out in all the shows and the chat rooms and getting on here every now and then, and got to get you on Theory Forge, and you've been on Evercast, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so got to get you on Theory Forge one of these days. I think
That
it'd
would
be
be
a
great.
real great discussion we'd be able to have there. There's a lot of subjects too to be able to cover, so yeah, we'll figure that out.
Especially if we keep getting updates like this huge chunk.
Yeah,
This week was craziness for sure.
this every other week business I'm definitely happy about. So I'm going to say right now, and we'll talk about when we get to that point. I think I might have theory crafted the ultimate flavor of the month build before we even had all the information, and I think it's pretty valid. And I'll get into the details as to why um, when we start talking about that stuff. So yeah, big update. As you can see at the bottom there, folks, weapons, armor, and heroic boots is the main focus here. So, weapons. First of all, the weapons have been changed. They now have no armor associated with them. Armor is only on the worn equipment. So, the other feature they have, every weapon has 60 offense built into it. So even though offense doesn't necessarily seem like something you need to have, it's built into your weapon. So you're going to have a little bit of extra damage, and they're all 60. Like they all add the same offense. So everybody
Yep.
has that baseline kind of
So
boost.
what was offense doing? Is
Offense.
that a new stat?
Yeah, so offense is used in some abilities, not all of them, but a good portion of them, where it increases the amount of damage that attacks will do. When the sword hits things, it gets a portion, not a full offense multiplier. Magic, the staff, all the shots from that, all the attacks from that appear to get the full multiplier of basically the what was that, offense, one times offense or whatever, or two times offense even for some of them, plus I can't remember. I'll pull it up here, but it's basically the staff gets, I think, a lot more bonus out of offense. The bow gets a fair amount of bonus out of offense. The sword gets a decent amount, but it doesn't entirely need it to be its most effective.
So does it add to damage? Is that what it's doing?
Yeah, it adds to damage, and it probably adds to other things too. But right
Okay.
now, it's not every ability, and it doesn't add a static amount to everything.
Okay.
It depends on the ability. So that's pretty cool. We also have 3 abilities on the weapons now. The E button has been put in for the third ability that you can use, and the grappling hook has now been switched to Q. And we will be able to rebind them. However, they only have it possible to rebind in the admin client, not the client that we have available. So unfortunately, we're not going to be able to change that. The E for grapple and Q for the third attack, or whatever button we want for the third attack, until they do a little kind of hotfix on the update. And I don't know if that's going to wait 2 weeks or if they're going to get that in sooner than later. There might be some other things they need to hotfix, so they'd probably
I'm
sneak
sure.
it
They said
I'm
that,
sure that's an easy fix.
yeah, they said that they'll be able to do that, even like sneak it into the bounce. So
in. Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's just a 1-0 thing. You know, that's just something they got to
Pretty
sort of
much.
easy to move around. Yeah.
All right. So
All I know is that when I do get back in game and have some time to play, I'm going to be completely like a noob again.
well, it's everybody's gonna kind of feel like a noob for a moment because the controls have all been changed.
Yeah.
But
We're all running around like drunken sailors.
Neuro died tripping over a branch like a root.
Nice. Did I miss that? Oh man. I missed Nero dying tripping on a branch.
Yeah.
are you sure that I tripped on a branch, or was that one of those login deaths?
No, you just landed or something like that. You ran over like near a tree, and I think you adjusted something. But from what we could see, you were walking over a branch when you died.
I think that might have been a login or teleport death, because I don't remember.
Well, we're gonna
We'll-
call it a
we'll-
tripping over a branch.
We'll have to review that one, but yeah.
Yeah.
You're talking about earlier today, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's only about 30 minutes to play. It should be easy to track down that particular instance there. Now, internally, SOE said that they had fixed the latency with weapons, where if you fire it here and you aim and you're looking at a target here, that the shot's not going to come out going this direction. The first thing I did when I finally put my armor on, it's like, oh, I want to see what happens with the bow. The left click, right click, both do the same old, shoot in the middle of things, not where you're aiming at the end of it. Josh Augustine actually caught that. He and I had a little back and forth on Twitter, and hopefully he'll be tuning in tomorrow. I believe he's going to be tuning in tomorrow during my next Landmark Daily, and I'll demonstrate all of those things, because it doesn't happen on their side. So I'm wondering if it's a sort of latency thing that they're not quite looking at properly or something.
Well, I'm sure they're looking at it. It
Well,
just
no,
might be-
I'm sure they're looking at it too, but I'm saying it might be that they're, something's one step's happening before another step, and it's fine because they're local to the server, but, different for remote users.
Yeah.
D-Man, I don't know what you're talking about with resubmitting your build. Are you talking about your Halloween build? Probably. Anyway, so that'll be fun, seeing what's up with weapons, and it'll be nice when weapons are all nice and fine tuned, and the shots go out where they're supposed to, and you can lead your targets and all of that stuff. The combination of that and kind of slowing down the speed of combat should make it a lot easier for people to be able to get their hits in.
Yeah, we haven't had time to actually test the PvP. Just the weapons, I think, but not the actual PvP.
Yeah. So, armor. Armor is the next thing. We now have 3 sets of armor, and right now the Slayer chest piece cannot be made at the Tech Forge, so just go to the one at the hub and you can make it there. But we have the Mercenary, Slayers, and Soldiers armor. Soldiers is focused on defense. When you have it on and you have a weapon out, you get 1,000 armor, 1,200 health, 280 energy, and 60 offense. Now everybody gets 60 offense, everybody gets 280 energy. The highlights for that build is it's got more armor and more health than any other set by a long shot.
Yeah.
The Mercenary set, it's got 600 armor, which is, compared to 1,000, 800 health compared to 1,200. But but it's got 340 energy, and it's got 30 extra damage. Or 30 extra offense, rather, so you'll get a little bit more damage. It's probably a little bit better if you're doing a mixed build or using a lot more of the bow and the staff. And then there's the Slayer armor. That's 200 armor, 800 health, your default 280 energy, and 160 offense. So you're going to get a lot of bonus damage with that one.
Yeah.
Versus the 90 that you've got with the mercenary armor. So that's a huge increase. But at the same time, you only have 200 armor. That's, barely anything. You're going to start taking health damage really quickly, and you don't get any bonus to your health. So you're vulnerable, but you're going to be able to do a lot of damage. So if you really like being a ranged nuker, that Slayer armor is where it's at. So
So the interesting thing with the armor, because I was wondering if it was going to be separate pieces. So it's kind of separate pieces because visually it's not separate.
right, not yet.
Yeah,
But it will be.
it will be. I'm just saying. Yeah. So we have actually 3 separate pieces, but only the chest piece shows for everything.
Yeah. Also, I called it appearance tab. Thank you. Once again, I'm right.
Yep.
Well, that's an easy one. Like,
True. No, you're right. That's not a difficult one.
The sun's gonna come up tomorrow. I betcha. No. It's a pretty common feature these days. Like, it isn't just big MMOs. I'm seeing small indie games doing it too for Edge of Space and 2D kind of games like that. Yeah, exactly. And that's nice. It's a nice feature for role playing.
Are you being called by work, Dygz? Is that what is happening over there?
No, it's the ice cream truck passing.
Yeah, I heard it.
Go get it.
No.
Go get some ice cream.
No.
I will completely understand.
Don't be tempted. Don't be tempted by dark forces. Stay, and you can reward yourself with gelato later. Yeah. It's much better.
So, for anyone watching who may not know, the whole idea behind the appearance tab is so, if you drop real-world money on outfits, that you can make sure that those outfits can still be seen, even though you're going to be wearing your armor underneath. So, this day and age, players like customization. I love it in games, and so... and like I said, all the SOE games, all of them features some sort of easily customizable appearance for your character and be able to maintain it no matter what your gear is. So,
but a lot of these armor sets that we've seen, the concept art for them are spectacular. Like most of them,
true.
I would be wanting to wear. Just show the armor sets. Some of these, like I like the soldier's armor set, but I kind of want to be able to change the colors.
Yeah, I getcha.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the soldier's armor set looks awesome. Is it the mercenaries? That's the robe. That is it looks great on a woman. Looks a little interesting on a man. Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah. That's fine.
But especially looks good on the female.
They all look really dark.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what the first thing I noticed. There's no like bright flare like we're gonna see with the what's it called with the poncho? Or
the gunslinger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was just gonna say, I wonder if you're gonna be able to put the armor set into your appearance slot,
Somebody
so you
said
can
we were
throw
able to do
people
that.
off.
Somebody said
that's
we were
awesome.
able to do that.
That's cool.
That will completely mess with people, and I'm sure they will cry about it. But now, from a PvP standpoint, you won't be able to tell what people are actually rocking.
Well, I'm sure that'll be another feature people ask for is a no aesthetics, some sort of build like that for the arena. So that way you can not only prevent people from bringing their boots and their fancy jumps and their running and all of that, but it also prevents them from being able to misrepresent the equipment that they're using the aesthetic stuff. So I gotta say, I think I came up with the perfect build. So You use the soldier's chest, the slayer's head, and the merc's hands. Now, what you're getting from each one of those is the soldier's chest gives you the most health and defense. So you're getting 500 armor and 200 health. That right there puts it, almost as good as the defense you're getting from the entire mercenary set, and definitely way more than the entire Slayer gets by leaps and bounds. You also get 200 health, which that's nice. That brings you up to 1,000. That's another it's a 25% increase. Pretty substantial. Then the other kind of advantage that you get is with the Slayer hands, or the Slayer head and the Merc hands, you're getting an extra 35 offense and an extra 250 armor. That brings you to a total of 750 armor, 1,000 health, still the default 280 energy, but 95 offense. So why I like this build so much, you're getting a little bit less defense than the soldier build, but you're getting a lot more offense. You're getting an extra 35. The mercenary build, you're pretty much giving up the energy to get an extra 5 damage, an extra 150 armor, and an extra 200 health, which is pretty big time. And compared to the Slayer set, you're getting 65 less offense, but at the same time, you've got way more sustainability with 750 armor and 1,000 health compared to 200 armor and 800 health. So that's going to be something I'm going to be focusing on over the next couple of days, seeing if I magically came up with the first flavor of the month build before the server even came up, because I didn't even know that we were going to have the baseline health of 800 and the baseline energy of 280. But knowing that, and of course the baseline offense of 60 coming from your weapons, but I think I might have got lucky either way. So
Yeah, and I was wondering about that a little bit too. Why wouldn't you just, do that kind of flavor of the month type thing? It's kind of interesting that says 0 health. Why does it? These are some of these numbers are screwing with me because it says the head has 300 armor and 0 health.
It doesn't add health. You already have 800 health. It doesn't add anymore.
I know, but the other ones just don't have health as a stat. So it just messes with my head a little bit.
It was just
they went ahead and threw 0 health on there, and they did the same thing with.
And maybe it used to have health, and they just pulled it off, but forgot to remove the tags and such.
I guess they did some of that stuff too with some of these boots. When we get to them, I'll mention that when we get to the boots. But what would have made me try and stick with the set would have been if they gave appearance, but we can't see the head or the hands, so I don't care about what I'm showing on the head or the hands. It's not going to make a difference. If I could see that difference, if the head looked different, I might not be willing to switch because I'm fashion over function. But
I mean, my armor can make me look like a donkey goat clown.
As it should be.
Yeah.
Like this, it doesn't matter. You just go with what's going to give you the best stats.
Yeah.
True.
Well, that's the thing though, is the min-maxers also enjoy the aesthetic features because once they actually have more than just the chest armor that determines how you look, they're going to add more aesthetic slots, so you'll be able to change the helmet, change the boots, and that sort of stuff. So you really will be able to look however you want, and looking like a donkey goat clown if I don't wear the fancy aesthetic stuff. Okay, that's fine. I don't mind that. And if I go into a battle and suddenly I revert into this hideous looking thing, it's like, oh, he's a min-maxer, get him away, whatever. But at the same time,
I'm going to be clear. No, go ahead.
Yeah, at the same time, I'm probably just going to be wearing my VS Tech Commander's gear everywhere, and you're just going to be sick of seeing me in that. It's, Neuro, can you please at least wear the monthly outfit? No. VS.
I don't begrudge the min-maxers, but you know what I mean. I'm certainly more of a leaning towards an appearance type. I'm not picking on the min-maxers if they're into it and that's what they want to show you how big their shoulder pads are. to prove they completed, dungeon numbers 27. It's cool, whatever.
Are you kidding me? I want shoulder pads that make my character slimmer. I don't want to look bigger. I want to hide amongst a group. That's where it's at. That's why you've got your teeny little caster Fae or whatever.
My Fae.
Yeah.
No, I legitimately did that because I just thought it was cute and funny that I've got a tiny little 2 foot, foot and a half tall fairy, that's a spellcaster, that's a nuker. I just thought that, you pack and like I would do the same thing, roll a teeny tiny, my Jedi was always a very small.
I was about to just say Yoda with wings.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, kind of, yeah. Just kind of, surprise the hell out of you and drop it. Literally, her most uber attack is she drops like ice comets from the sky on you. It's pretty kind of awesome. But, I do it because I think it looks kind of fun. It's cool. Not everybody likes that. There are people who are like, no, you got to be a big brawly guy or whatever,
That reminds me, Nero, you didn't mention the change. One of the changes in the weapons is that the sword no longer does the terrain damage. It's the staff that does the terrain damage now.
Right.
Interesting.
Well, the staff does the freeze that allows the damage to occur to terrain, if I'm not mistaken. Are you sure that the sword doesn't do? That was something I've been meaning to do. Is like the damage on terrain test, and then the other thing is the collision test with the staff. Do things actually stop on the walls now?
Right. I didn't see anything. Didn't see a confirmation of that.
That'll be
that
something
last
to
piece,
test.
whether you can still shoot through walls.
I am sure that you all will find out very soon.
Yes.
As soon as you can get a game.
This is true. The sword is over now. You got it. I'll have to try that out. I think everything's going to be nice to use.
So the sword isn't flavor of the month now?
Well,
I don't know about that. It just isn't chopping through terrain.
Koma Sta is saying, how does a Fae hide in a crowd? Wouldn't the glowing sparkles give them away? How did you know my Fae had glowing sparkles?
don't they all?
No, actually, it's an appearance option you got to choose.
Well, you chose it.
Anyway,
he knows you that well, I guess.
It's a particular piece of jewelry. I don't remember what it is, but it's a charm item of some sort. I have to turn on to make little sparkles appear around her.
Speaking
wherever she goes, she has little light.
Speaking of sparkly charm items you can put on that change your appearance, when you use all the different mobility items, they all put a different appearance on you. The particle effects, so the running ones, the flying ones, they all have a different look to them. So that was one of the things they're talking about with some of the customizable stuff. That you've got the the anti-grav ring that's now the anti-grav boots that has the exact same effect as the belt of the Zephyr. There's except that it's got a different appearance. There was another item that had the exact same effect. It was, I think, the double jump. The where is it? Oh yeah, the feather in a bottle and the cloud bangle also now have the same. So they all have new abilities.
Are those your show notes on a little sticky pad like
this? These were my pre-show notes. These were my like.
I was wondering how you fit all that verbose concept into such a little notepad. He writes really small. Of course. Of course. Why am I not surprised?
Yeah, well,
anyway, please continue. I did not mean to derail you.
Yeah, so I should actually explain here. So all of the heroic movement items and equipment and gear that we used to have before is now completely different. Everything that affected your mobility is now a boots. They're all boots. Boots.
For now, anyway. For now.
Now,
Scout's emblem, messenger's signet, all that.
Yeah. Now that doesn't mean that we don't have rings still. There's still one slot for your whatever rings that you have, the ones that help your mining skills and that sort of stuff. So they haven't gotten rid of that. It's just instead of having two trinket slots that you could equip mobility items to, you have one slot where you equip boots to. and one place for your nice whatever harvesting ring or crafting ring or looking awesome sparkly ring when they eventually give us one of those. So they've changed a couple of things. First of all, shift doesn't make you sprint. When you're out of combat, your base running speed is what the previous sprint speed used to be, which I believe is 13.
I'm okay with that.
It still reads
aren't
as
we
10
all
in
just
game.
Aren't we all just spamming sprint anyway? Like
We
in
should
every
be.
MMO, yeah.
Doesn't cost energy, might as well. And then they also slowed down your speed when you're in combat. When you're on a PvP claim, your speed is reduced to 8. So they've slowed down the combat. It improves the collision. It makes it so people aren't going to be all jumpy and divey and juking around the place. So there's some other stuff that they've added too. They changed, like I said, all the items to boots, and they all have awesome different abilities. So the feather in a bottle and the cloud bangle.
Forgive me just a moment here.
Yeah, handle it. Alright, so the feather in a bottle and the cloud bangle do a double jump, and that double jump also grants you 10% damage bonus for, I think, 3 seconds or 5 seconds.
Forgive me for that. Forgive me for that, but I had feared maybe it was the store freaking out over something. No, it was literally a robo-dialer for something that has nothing to do with me. Continue.
Yeah. So that's kind of an interesting feature. It's the only item that gives a double jump now, a true double jump, or the two of them, I guess. And the 10% damage bonus, that's kind of neat. I mean, you're spending a little bit of energy to give yourself a little mobility. It's kind of nice that you get a little bit of extra damage on it. Belt of the
wait. So feather in the bottle was the
double
code
jump
giveaway.
Yeah.
And crystalline cloud bangle, that was found in chests.
Yes.
Okay.
So now both of those items are now pretty much boots of similar function, but I believe different aesthetic appearance when you do the thing. Now, the Belt of the Zephyr and the Anti-Grav boots, formerly Anti-Grav ring, they give you the infinite glide ability, which means it does not cost any energy to use it to glide. And
Wait, hold on. Wait, this is a craftable item?
I don't know about the Anti-Grav ring, but I know the Belt of the Zephyr is definitely not.
Okay, all right.
Belt of the Zephyr was found in a chest.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
And we don't know what the anti-grav band is. It sounds like it might be. I don't understand how it would be craftable and do the exact same thing, though.
Yeah, I don't know about that either, but
we need to look that up.
Mm-hmm.
We need to look it up.
Or it's going to be a giveaway item in the near future.
Could be.
Maybe.
So the infinite glide is what it gives you, and you just hold it down and then you release and hold it down and release as much as you want. Doesn't cost anything to initiate it, doesn't have a cooldown time, doesn't cost anything to maintain it, and while you're maintaining it, you get back 5 armor per second. So it's a lovely mobility item. I would imagine with the slowdowns that go in with combat, someone can hit you, and someone can hit you really easily or whatever when you've got that on. Snares and stuns and stuff will probably knock you out of the air too. So I don't know if it'll be too viable for combat unless it's the sort of build where floating around is kind of an important thing. And I believe you can fall off a ledge and initiate the hover now. Not 100% sure. I haven't tested that. I'm pretty sure that's how it works now. Never heard of the anti-grav item. Yeah, so that might be a new item that they're going to be providing at some point. So
just a guess, though. I'm purely just speculating about it at the moment. And who knows? Maybe it'll be. I suspect, because the Belt of Zephyr is so hard to get right now, it is easily the most difficult item to get from a chest. I'm guessing this might be a slightly easier alternative if you have access to it.
Yeah. Oh, one other thing. Pantera is saying you can glide way longer. Not only can you glide way longer, but I found if you catch a launcher and you just take the momentum from that and glide through it, you'll go at that speed, at that launcher speed, as you glide wherever, And then when you let go of glide, you will plummet to the ground, but you'll still have that momentum. So you'll still be going like way a ways. You have to really time it to touch down where you want to. And you won't take any falling damage because you're still flagged as being on the launcher path. So I can literally go from my launch pad claim all the way to the spire, all the way to any of my other claims if I want. No falling damage, no risk whatsoever. I love it. I've got no complaints about that. I'm really happy, and the fact that there might be an easier way to get that, I'm excited for that in open beta because it's going to be crappy trying to do episodes of content and creations and do the screenshot without the ability to do the flying because that's
I'm sure
kind
they're
of
aware
important.
of that. That really, because that's an option they have access to.
Yeah. And they'd actually
And
talked
I
about
know
that.
they use and abuse it all the time to take their screenshots. I'm sure they know that they want to give that to players as soon as possible.
They talked about the idea.
Because that, I was just gonna add, it only helps sell their game.
Yeah. Well, it was, I think, maybe a week or two ago when they said that's definitely a feature that they want to have available to the players because it's, something really important to be able to take nice screenshots. And honestly, I'm wondering if it's something they're waiting for the LOD and mesh system to be upgraded, so that way people can take longer distance screenshots without the same kind of deformation we see right now as it goes into LOD.
Yeah.
And things that are dirt all the way through except plaster on the outside. The plaster disappears, and as you get far enough away, it's it's a big old dirt block. How'd that happen? That actually happened. I can't remember which build it was, but it was funny. So getting back to the list, the Neon Blitzing boots, which I accidentally called the Neon Blitzkrieg boots, which I would imagine.
I like Neon Blitzkrieg better.
Yeah,
it sounds like a German. Sounds like a German cover band of.
That's what I said. It sounds like a German EDM band of some sort. So yeah, we're definitely on the right wavelength with that. Yeah, Boots of the Zephyr, 0 energy. It doesn't take any juice to run it and maintain it. It's nice. So the Neon Blitzing boots give you a jump forward ability. It's a half-second charge, and then you launch forward. And then it also gives you plus 25% move speed for 3 seconds. So that's kind of either a get out of dodge or a way to pursue somebody that you're just a few steps behind them, and it'll give you a chance to catch up. That's pretty cool. I can see that working really well with the sword build. But all of them I could see working well with the sword build. The messenger sandals, those give you 37.5 speed while you're channeling it. So you can eat through your energy really quickly, but you run pretty damn fast when you've got that going. 37.5%, that's pretty significant. And then the Souls of the Outrider, which is another, I believe all 3 of these are craftable. That gives you 25% speed and 1 armor per second, but it's channelable. It's not like the Blitz boots where it's a like I think a 10-second cooldown, and you only get the speed increase for 3 seconds after the burst. So the 1 armor per second though, that's so meager. Like they almost didn't even need to do that.
The Blitz boots are 0.5 seconds, right? To channel?
I believe so.
Yeah. And the messenger sandals are
I don't believe.
instant.
Yeah, I don't believe the other ones have a. But they use like 40, 60, 75 energy per second. So that goes through your 280 energy really quickly. Really damn quickly. All right. Then there's the Boots of Bounding that gives you a charged super jump. It's on a 5-second cooldown. You can hold it down for as short as I believe half a second, and at the 4-second mark, it launches, and you just go, I think, really high and potentially really far if you're holding forward. So that's kind of neat. It's a jump with a charge up time. So I don't know if it'll really be viable for combat, but for mobility, especially getting out of really deep caverns, I could see it being really helpful.
Well, it says charge forward. You jump forward, not up.
The boots of bounding.
Yeah,
Okay,
allows you to jump forward a tremendous distance.
I could see it being maybe an arc sort of thing. I don't think it's like a
Yeah, I
bolt
don't
forward
know.
sort of thing. And then there's the Leapers launchers. That's the same thing on a 10-second cooldown, but you also do damage to things in a radius near you when you take off.
Oh, huh. Leapers, launchers. Okay. But it deals damage. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I could see that being pretty useful for a caster type build that you expect that you're going to get surrounded. You do what you can to snare people and get them stuck in the area, and then you drop a launcher bomb on them. You wait maybe 1.5 seconds to charge, and then release it. And before all the snares and everything are up, before they can finally get to you, you're out of there, and you do a little extra damage. I could see that being pretty helpful.
Did you read Souls of the Outrider?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
What was the or I guess I did. The
I think you skipped it.
speed 25% and +1 armor per second.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we covered that one.
Okay. The thing that gets me is, and this just probably because I'm a localization guy, so I pay attention to these little details. The cast time for Messenger Sandals is instant, and the cast time for Souls of the Outrider is 0 seconds. So I tweeted, "What's the difference between instant and 0 seconds?" And the answer is, from Michael Mann, they're the same thing. So I guess the difference is the spelling.
Yeah,
It's
just
the letters used to describe them.
Why isn't it just instant like the rest of them? I
Just-
don't understand.
just
But
give
okay,
'em-
0 seconds.
give them a typing pass and be like, "Hey, I can help you guys localize this to English." Dave used to work with me. You can ask him.
Exactly.
There you go. Exactly.
Fun stuff. And the Lunar Treads, formerly the Lunar Anklet. It's a levitate up sort of thing. You kind of float upwards. It's nice and graceful, and your energy runs out so fast. You're not really going to get that far with it.
So is this the thing to get you on top of claims, like higher on claims? Because it's not really. Were you able to jump with that? Did you try jumping?
I messed around with it a bit. You jump, and then afterwards, if you press space in the air, you start doing the float up. I didn't try doing the quick tap to see if you catch more momentum like a jetpack on PlanetSide 2 or something. Or even PlanetSide 1.
But it works very differently than it did before.
Yeah.
It sounds like.
Yeah. So, moon boots from the 80s, yes. I can see it being really useful for builders that are building on a vertical claim, because it'll allow them to get up areas that are kind of, tricky to get around. Like if you've got a lot of flat roofs, like a pagoda, for example, it's kind of hard to make it up those sometimes. So that'll probably be a really easy item to get up those.
I'm thinking about the Karens. They're building these things so that they, can have this advantage that won't make a difference, really. But
Yeah. I mean, Karen architecture is nice, but I'm sure an iron golem is just going to punch it down the same way. That's what they
okay,
do.
that's true.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Dark
Will we
Elf
be able to
Tower,
build.
boom.
That would
needs
be
it?
cool if we could craft an iron golem.
Ooh, yes.
I'm sure that is something that is coming.
Huh.
Because we're going to need something we'll be able to have as our raid bosses when they give us the AI controls.
Well, they gave us that example of one of the stages of a rallying call could be building sieges, and it won't continue until all the sieges are built, because just firing fireballs at the Citadel won't work.
Mhm.
Um, but I'd love to build an Iron Golem, like, and have that take a couple of weeks or something like that.
Ooh.
That would be cool.
That could
I
be
hate
pretty
to go
fun.
here, but everybody get your drinks ready.
Uh,
During part of the revamped Jedi questing system in Star Wars Galaxies, there was a essentially once you became force sensitive, you unlocked a whole quest line in a village of Aurelia, where there was like exiled force sensitives hiding out from the Empire. The storyline in the village rotated once a month,
hmm.
so that it had sort of 4 cycles to the story, and the idea was is that you were helping them get ready to repel an invasion.
Mm.
And so, depending on which force sensitive skills you wanted to earn, you would have to go to a different NPC to get that quest, do the quest, unlock the tree, and then fill it, grind out XP to fill it up. The quests, however, were only available from that NPC during one of the 4 phases.
Ooh.
Like every 6 weeks or every whatever the cycle was, I don't remember that. It may have been like every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks, but I want to say it was every month that they rotated out. It might have been 2 weeks actually. The end storyline was this village came under attack, and you had to work together with all the other players to repel the invasion. But the invasion force was so insane and it took us a while to figure it out. The only way you could live was to hide in the huts inside the village. They were designed to de-aggro the pirates that were attacking. So if you would regroup with others in these huts and you figured that part of the strategy out, you could jump out, get your kill quotas, do your thing. And I just thought it was really cool that the way the attack went down depended solely on what the players did to help bolster the resources before that phase rotated in. And I always thought it was one of the neatest things they ever did in the game, and it did go away when they did the whole reboot to the combat system. But again, I bring this up often enough. There are definitely a lot of design cues from that game that seem to be making their way back into SOE games, and I'm glad they are, because there's a lot of really great ideas there.
Yeah.
So I can see your Golem quest being something that could totally happen.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
So, we've talked about weapons, we've talked about armor, we've talked about heroic movement. Is there anything...
I do want to just throw this in. I'm a little disappointed right now with some of these changes on paper with heroic movement. Because moving through the world really was just so much fun. And now it's looking on paper like it's about to become sort of a character build issue. Like, all right, how am I building my character to move through the world today? I'm not sure I'm crazy about that.
It's just grappler
Well,
hopping,
they said
really,
it's
is all you need.
Yeah, and it's going to change as we get more items and more item slots. We only have a couple of item slots, they said. So that can change that. But I think for the most part, moving through the world is still going to feel pretty much the same.
It's slower now. It's much slower, I've noticed. If you're doing glides off of launcher networks or just grappler hopping across the ground, that's probably going to be the fastest way to move. Grappler hopping in conjunction using one of the run speed charge items and then just equipping yourself up with the high energy build.
That's still
it's silly.
That's still item related. I guess I'm thinking of just the basic heroic movement is still pretty much the same. You're going to run. We got our slide back, thank goodness. That was disabled for, I don't know, like 3 weeks, I think. At least
Something
3
like
weeks,
that.
maybe. So I think the general stuff is general heroic movement is the same. We're just a little bit more limited into how many different things we can do it at once, so that we're not just piling on the heroic movement items.
Well, I'm just thinking about like how much fun it's been with lunar anklets to just like be double jumping all over the place, and you know what I mean. Like, and now that it's like something that you have to worry about maintaining energy for is a little like I don't know how I feel about that. Like I said, we'll see. You
Yeah, but
guys are right.
it's gotta fit in with that's gotta fit in with combat because if we're
True.
just that was one of the big things is when you cast that slow down bubble, and then people would just jump out of it. I mean, like
Yeah.
it's like well, there's no point. You don't stay slow long enough for it to really do
Mm.
much.
One other consideration though is they're also gearing us to get ready for PvE in the world, and I think slowing us down a little and making us have to think about what we're doing is part of that because they don't want everyone just blitzing across the world. They want, if you want to go fast, use the ley lines to get close to where you want to go, and then other than that, that are using the gallery and using portal shards to actually have to fight things and encounter things along the way or escape things. They'll eventually get us mounts, and that'll change things a bit too. But I don't know if they're planning for mounts to be like a static, like you're on this, therefore mobs don't really go for you unless you stand next to them and let them chew on you, sort of thing. I don't even know if mounts are going to be, classic mounts, or if it's going to be, here's some moving parts that we've given you, just kind of socket them together and DIY. I really hope that's it.
I think
Well, I hope it's a little of both, but the latter is definitely. I mean, the former, no, the latter. Duh, the latter is definitely more of what I'm hoping for because I've talked about this with vehicles. I want to be able to. We've made 6 different movement engine types that you can add into your own creation. I like this idea of them giving us the ability to. All right, here's where the joint's going to go. Here's where this joint's going to go. I don't know. Is that going to be getting too complicated for what they can do in the world? I don't know. But I'm certainly hoping we see more of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
How mounts factor into combat is going to be interesting.
It'll probably be a case of you won't be able to fight from your mount. You'll have to get off your mount in order to fight. You know what I mean? That's how most MMOs have always handled
arcades, I think you're able to fight from your mounts. People.
Well, actually, now that I think about it, EverQuest 2, you can fight from your mount. Matter of fact, you can make your mount invisible, so you just look like you're going super fast, and you're always on your mount. Or you can choose to turn it off all the time, and or leave it on. And when you're not riding a mount, it's weird. But
I'll be fine. I'll be fine with that initially, but if we're not doing tank battles and plane battles like a year in, making our own custom vehicles, I'll be kind of disappointed. Dygz, go for it.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah.
I think Dave said something like if they made the AI to be able to keep up with heroic movement as it was, we wouldn't be very happy with
gotcha.
that.
Yeah, well, I had thought about that. The
That's
idea of like you're trying to escape, and there's like 5 or 6 orcs just like grappling and charging and doing all sorts of stuff, and they're just on your tail no matter how fast you're going. So, well, crap, now I got to deal with them because they've clearly chosen me as their target. They're not going to stop, and there's nothing telling them they need to go back to some location. So Storybricks has gotten me in trouble. And I'm going to be excited for that because they will chase you. They will chase you across a continent. They'll chase you down into the caves, to the core of the world, and back up. Things will come after you. They will not stop pursuing if you don't let them.
They'll stop pursuing because not every Storybricks AI will be interested in pursuing that long, but
Yeah, well, I mean, come on, make it dramatic.
But
here.
don't worry. There'll be a couple.
Yeah, I'm sure. Maybe if you hit it a couple times and piss it off first.
You'll be 7 years into the game, and one day that NPC is going to turn up going, "You!"
Oh man, I would love that so much.
Get over it. Get over it. That was 7 years ago. Come on. I said I was sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not sorry for anybody I kill in Landmark. No.
You do it with joy in your heart. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Fair enough.
Because if they aren't going to respawn, they had it coming. And if they're going to respawn, they're a player. And it's all good.
Exactly.
That's pretty much my philosophy. You dirty rat, you killed my father. I probably butchered that, but anyway. Let's see. So we got through those notes. Got through these notes. We got some other notes to get through here too. So let me pop those up on my screen. Okay, workshop tomorrow. Morgard is going to be on. Morgard is going to be on the workshop tomorrow. He's going to be talking about dwarves. He's going to be talking about ogres. We're going to be learning about the races before we actually have to decide on them, rather than making the decision and then, so, here's who you voted for. Guess what? This is what their stuff looks like. This is their style. Now this is what you get to do for the next 6 weeks. So, I mean, we all know it's going to be dwarves, but, just in case it isn't, they're going to have the ogres.
I don't know. I do know that, however, that dwarves don't win. I suspect Brass is going to be flipping some shit.
Flipping even more.
The SOE offices are not going to be good.
So one of the things that's happening, I think they're trying to get it started for tomorrow, is more of that lore is going to be moving from the landmark forums over to the EQ Next forums.
Yes.
Because people have been complaining about, especially one of the things that's been
You got chocolate in my peanut butter. You got peanut butter in my chocolate.
Exactly.
God forbid.
It's been weird because the last polls have been at EQ Next, but then the answers to the polls, we aren't getting roundtable responses anymore. The answers are happening on the workshop show, which is on the No, it used to be in the landmark. Now it's moved over to
on the EverQuest. The EverQuest Next
Twitch
channel.
And then the lore is all the written lore is on the landmark forums, which is
the lore is for landmark. It's not. Lore is for EverQuest Next, not for landmark.
Right. So it should go over to.
I'm sure that's just a house cleaning thing that will get fixed.
One of the things I asked for, and Dygz says I hope Dygz is going to do this part too, is move those roundtable responses either to the beginning of the workshop or to the end of the workshop, because there's no way to find those answers.
Yeah.
Well, this is true. Well, I'm sure this is also one of those things that Omid was probably spearheading and now is kind of get reassigned to somebody in-house to make sure.
Or he didn't have it in the scope at all because there were other things he was focused on trying to promote.
Yeah.
I think it's something that's more that they're getting closer to. Not necessarily they're getting closer to getting the early access for EverQuest Next started necessarily, but that things have been long enough that they definitely want to continue separating the EverQuest Next stuff from the landmark stuff. So when you're looking for the EverQuest Next brand, you can go to the forums and find all these conversations going on about it. And when you're looking for landmark, that's a completely different sort of environment. That's mostly builder and PvP centric, but not necessarily where you're going to be finding the EQ Next lore and discussions. Now I'm definitely going to go through and post my big my 8 mega documents in the EQ Next forum, because it'll be my first time posting them there. I posted them in Landmark long enough ago, and kind of unique content to have over there. And I'm hoping that the folks that'll get a chance to see it will give some comments on it, and we'll be able to get the discussion going again, because it's still relevant stuff even a year later. But yeah, I'm really glad that they're making this change. I'm really, really, really happy that they're doing it this way to help differentiate and separate, and really just makes it a lot easier to find the information in the proper places.
Yeah, especially I told Dygz, and she said she will try and do this part, although it's going to take some time, is to at least put a link to which show has the answer to the poll, because I don't want to have to listen to 8 hours every time I want to find one answer.
No, I agree.
So they're going to do that, but she said it's going to take some time to coordinate all that. But yeah, tomorrow, I wonder how much lore. We're going to get some concept art, which will be nice.
Ooh.
That will be nice, and I bet we're going to see a lot of the materials that we just got today in some of that concept art.
I am sure. I mean, hello, lava. I mean,
Yes.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of that material they showed off is perfect for both dwarves and ogres. I'm
Hmm.
sure.
Hmm.
Yeah.
They're
Oh
getting a
man,
little
there's
bit
gonna be
smarter.
some bloodshed at the SOE studios if dwarves do not win this time. Like this is gonna get ugly. Like seriously, people, you have to vote dwarves, or we're all gonna end up hurt in some form or another. And I don't even play dwarves, okay? I'm totally doing it just to do brass a
Exactly,
solid.
exactly.
Totally. Won't be playing ogres either, you know? So,
Well,
We'll,
here's
we'll have to start doing non-anonymous voting. Let's
yes,
take the
yes, we
names.
must be accountable for how we're voting. That would be awesome.
well, here's the thing though is every time a race gets delayed an extra, session, while
Mm.
yes, we don't get to see their stuff and get to play with it and get to know what it's going to look like sooner.
Players get their technique gets much more advanced. Yeah.
Yes, way better. Even if we just did a 2 week redo of the Dark Elf stuff, just started today, everyone has 2 weeks, and then an extra day maybe to submit everything and finalize it. I'm pretty sure the stuff that people would make would turn out way better than the stuff we saw the first time, and that's just giving them 2 weeks. We've refined our techniques. The tools have been refined so much since then, and the ability for people to work together as a community. We've got a lot more group building teams now. So the fact that we'd actually be able to have 3 or 4 people throw their efforts at it and put something together really quickly and have it be really nice and really appropriate. We didn't have a lot of the furniture before. We didn't have fabric before. There was so much stuff we didn't have when we did the Dark Elf stuff. So just on props and materials, we can make things that are way more awesome. So the longer it waits, it's going to improve the overall options for the aesthetic for that race's build and the overall quality of the tools and the features going into it. So if they don't win, that's fine. Dwarves will just look that much better than ogres, Karens,
Yeah.
and well, maybe not Karen because we did get like 3-4 months to work on that. So we got to refine
We
our
did.
technique. We did. We did. And I don't regret it. I'm playing Karens anyway, so yeah.
Halloween builds look good too. So
Yes, oh yes they do. There's so many awesome Halloween builds. The props they gave us are really nice too.
Yes.
Yeah.
everybody's an expert pumpkin carver. So
Yeah, I actually didn't pick one up. I just didn't have the time.
hmm
Oh well. I tried to make a pumpkin on my own claim. It ended up being more one of those like flat kind of pumpkins,
Mm.
and I tried to use a couple of plants to make it look like the stuff at the top and bottom, but it didn't quite look right. So never mind. I think it's still there. The
Yeah.
basement laboratory under the Karen claim, but most of that space now is actually just filled with dirt in anticipation for the fabric to be turned over to its own material instead of just constantly being dirt like it is right now. Yeah. Anyway, so we talked about a lot of the other stuff. I realized we talked about a lot of the stuff that was already on the notes. Locking the hotbars is one thing we didn't talk about. We'll be able to lock the hotbars.
Yay!
Yay.
And if you haven't realized why you want that, just wait until you drag a skill off the bar while you're trying to do 3 things at
oh,
once.
that's what they mean. Okay, I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
wondering. 'Cause I was like, isn't the hot bar locked? But they meant the things
The
that are in the
items
lock.
that are, yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Mm.
exactly. You don't want to be, I used to do that in EverQuest 2 all the time. Just whoop, oh
Yeah.
shoot, I
Yeah.
needed that fireball. Hang on, wait, god
Yeah.
damn it. Now I got to go into my recipes again. Like you got to really
Yeah.
go digging to
I
find
know.
your skills and put them back.
Mhm.
I'm definitely glad that they've got that locking in. I don't think I've ever had an issue with removing things from my bar accidentally, but I also don't really switch too much. Usually it's like 1, 2, and 3, and if I'm building,
Yeah.
just single click whatever. They're pretty big buttons, so it's hard for me to miss them.
So Nero, somebody was talking about in the forums hot swapping armor. I was like, I don't see how you're really going to be able to hot swap armor in the middle of combat. It doesn't seem like.
It's magic.
I mean, I guess you can, but the interface doesn't seem like it's very conducive to trying to do that. I don't
Yeah.
think that's a very feasible strategy. What do you think about people trying to swap armor in the middle of combat?
It's one of those things that now that they've given us this new system, the only reason why you'd be doing it is basically to exploit game mechanics. It is basically, oh crap, I'm out of armor, I'm going to switch to my Slayer build and just nuke the person's face. It's basically like switching from the sword to the staff
So can you
yesterday.
would you be able to put your armor in the hotbar and do that?
I don't think you can do that.
I don't think I think
It would be
I
pressing.
think
I'm
trying to swap your
sure
armor out would be very wonky. I don't think.
as far as I can remember, in any game I have ever played that has had, like MMO style type of game, they have never let you switch
Yeah.
armor and weapons during combat. So the
Well,
fact that
we
you
can't
guys
do
can
weapons.
switch weapons, yeah, no, it's unusual. The armor seems far more integral to what your role is going to be. To be able to switch that mid combat, I doubt is going to ultimately end up in the finish game.
Yeah.
Yeah, weapons, boots, trinkets, I could see those being swapped, but the actual armor you're wearing, maybe not. We can swap boots right now, for example. And
Yeah.
it's kind of a weird one, but I can see that because there could be situations where one okay, for example, if you've got a multi-jump item or a sprinting item, and those two categories are locked on the PvP claim that you're about to fight on, you would be locked into boots that don't do anything for you for the rest of the battle if you can swap those out. So I can understand that because, and I should probably mention that real quick. Heroic movement rule set restrictions, you can now select
Yeah,
jumping.
which you guys have been asking for
Yeah,
for like day one.
jumping, climbing, multi-jumping, gliding, sprinting, and the grappling hook are all things that you can toggle off so people can have those on or off on their PvP claims, preventing people from using them. Yes, no grapplers. You can do that so they don't, do the
Yeah.
beginning of the battle grapple to you with the sword and start hacking you trick. Because I was getting pretty good with that in the water arena, actually.
The what is it? Lunar treads, leapers, launchers, the neon blitzing boots. Those
Yeah, the boots.
have issues right now. No.
Mm.
There's three sets of boots that have issues. They're the high jump restriction. Yeah, that's the high jump. The high jump ones
Oh, I
made
see
to
what
be
you're
restricted
saying.
yet.
Yeah, it's on the.
Yeah. I mean, that's just a bug. They're going to fix that. But I'm
Yeah.
just saying, for right now,
Okay.
there's three that you can't restrict.
Okay. The high jump. That's not such a big deal. Killed your parkour build. Not necessarily, D-man. It's a toggleable thing. You can have those things on if you want. There's no reason to have them
Yeah,
off
if you want it to be, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, if you want those on and you want it to be that kind of game, you
Right.
can still have it on. It's purely in your control.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's pretty awesome. I think that's going to be a really nice feature, and I just hope that they give us an indication of what things are turned off before the battle, so we don't get surprised when the battle starts. But the ability to switch them out is definitely helpful.
How huh? S- how has that normally been working in terms of when you go in and things are switched off?
There was never abilities for things to be switched off. This is a new feature.
I thought some things weren't available. Oh, people were just doing that voluntarily.
hmm
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
So instead of it being something where you have to kindly ask players to do, now it's something that can be strictly enforced.
Right.
Exactly. These are my rule sets. You don't like it, you don't have to play.
Exactly.
How would you like that to be advertised to the players?
When you
That
go to
be
queue
in-
up, when you bring the pull down, when you click,
Uh-huh.
there should be something letting you know it's restricted. And when you click it,
Yeah.
the little queue indicator in the corner, there should be a little list above it that restricted.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm sure and I'm sure that'll be, if it's not already, that'll be something you can turn filters on for.
And I'm
I'm
sure,
looking for games like this.
yeah, I'm sure they'll eventually enhance that because they'll probably want to give us a team selection interface too, and give us some ability to kind of pick who's on what team. Because right now it's just kind of free for all, first come, first serve, and
Yeah, that's true.
it's hard to have competitive matches like that because
Yeah, you want to be able to do pre-mades. You want to do pre-made versus pre-made, or pre-made versus randoms, and yeah, you want to be able to do that.
yeah. I would say though, D-Man, the ability to double jump. Okay, the ability to first do a house-high jump with 2 lunar anklets, and then a double jump off of that, and then to glide, or to have a double jump and a glide where you're also moving at like 1.6, 1.7 times the movement speed. They have definitely restricted that, but you're still going to be able to do a lot of the fun movement stuff. Made that map to flow with the gear. Yeah, my one of my arenas actually, I need to test it because it was designed for pretty much a run speed of 13. So that one's gonna have to be adjusted, I think. That's fine. Whatever. I can probably even make it a 1 claim at this point.
There will just be a lot more death. That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Well, it's the one where there's the bombs everywhere, and you have to jump from the glass platforms between the other ones to get to the actual capture points. That one's gonna have to be readjusted because you're not gonna be able to move across the platforms anymore. But whatever, that's fine. Overall, I think it's a good change, and it's getting things closer to a bit closer to what kind of a finalized system is gonna look like. It's going to be a long way off from that, but at least we're getting, iterative steps. It's a long jump off from the 3 weapons that you get your armor from those that we were just using before for the past few weeks, and it was something, but I think it was kind of silly. And now we have something a lot more substantial to play with. We actually have builds that you can actually make. You can actually customize your equipment a lot differently. So. I'm excited for what we can do now.
Yeah, very much. Definitely moving in the right direction.
Oh, what's coming up? Well, I mean, you could do that next week, but I'm wondering what's coming up in the next update. Keywords is in the next update, I think.
Ooh, Keywords was they didn't talk about multi-threading for this time, and because they didn't talk about it, I'm guessing it's going into the next one in 2 weeks.
Right, that's what I think.
Which, that's about a month out from what they had targeted. But that's
honestly, wouldn't be surprised if it gets pushed back yet again, though. That's a kind of a big deal to add multi-threading support to a game that doesn't have it at the moment.
Well, they're pretty close. The only thing that they couldn't do before was allow you to change your screen size. Otherwise, you get a black screen. So.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
So they,
mentioned that on last week.
So we're pretty close. But there's probably other optimizations they've also been working on too. So it isn't like multi-threading is the only thing that we've been waiting on. This is going to be big for a lot of people, though.
Yes, it's definitely going to have a huge impact on folks who are kind of sitting with mediocre performance on a fairly newer, modern piece of equipment. You may not be getting 50 frames a second, but you should be getting something.
For sure. It should at least be a lot more playable. It's definitely going to lower the min specs a lot more and let a lot more people in.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see what else we got here on the notes.
We got new materials. We got lava and cracked, slaggy looking lava. Now they are both static materials. They don't flow. They don't move. They don't do damage to you.
For building with
it's simply aesthetic right now. However, you can always enhance it with putting torches and stuff under it to give it that fiery look. I haven't tried it yet, but I bet if you put water, like a 1 thick layer of water over the top, it'll make it look like it's flowing a bit. And if you selectively use I think the spotlights and have them shining from the inside of the lava pointing out towards you will cause the water to be filtered kind of reddish or orangish or whatever you need it to be. So there's ways to probably make something that looks like flowing lava, but when you touch it, it's still just going to do nothing, really.
Right.
Yeah,
And no
for now.
damage
Right
yet
now-
either.
And right now it's just made with stone, but when they add lava as an actual material, they'll switch it over.
Yeah, so before they do that, make a giant, like, million lava, or million lava kind of stone pile on your claim, so that way when they switch it over, you've got a million lava to cook yourself on. I don't know. So we also got a whole lot of materials, a bunch of brass, a bunch of iron, a bunch of stone. Not going to go down the list, not even going to read it all.
It's a huge list. I was like, I sure hope
44
Nero doesn't.
textures. Oh, the
I
lumicite.
was,
Yeah, the
I was
lumicite's
like,
the
is
other
Nero going to
one.
read this in the order it's presented or alphabetically?
No,
I don't know, but
no,
this is
no,
gonna take
no.
all night.
No, people can find that in game. In fact, it's probably
Yeah.
better to for people to look it up on their own and take it in and learn it, because this is the biggest material dump
Ton of
we have
stuff,
ever
yeah.
gotten. And oh yeah,
A ton of stuff.
they didn't even mention, but yeah, the dim lumicite. So they talked about it on Landmark Live, but is not in the update notes. We get a dim version of all the lumicites. It's not as bright. It doesn't shine as as brightly at nighttime. So you'll be able to do it for more accent sort of stuff. I could see that being a lot more appropriate for like the dark elf stuff, for example. That bright purple in some of those things, it looked almost cartoonish. So I could see the dim being a lot more. It looks more like maybe plaster or stone that glows rather than a fucking electric neon marker that was built into a block or something. Because that's what the bright lumicite looks like. It just blows things out. The only time it looks right is when there's other lumicite next to it and other things with luminance. Wonder why it won't show the helmets? Well, they don't even have graphics for the different helmets. Eventually, they'll give all of the aesthetics a nice pass, but right now it's just
some sort of headpiece. But yeah, for now it's
full body
it's just
only.
blank. Yeah.
Yep, full body, no helmet. Your boots don't change either.
Oh, Falcon was in chat.
Well, that's nice. Was he?
Huh.
I don't know.
I
don't.
see a by
That-
Felgon and it was made
Yeah,
by
no,
Felgon
yeah,
in chat.
no. That's what it
Okay,
was. I saw by Felgon in chat, and I was like, no, that was not a goodbye to Felgon. I would have noticed
Right,
that.
right, right.
Also, his text
That
is
was,
blue,
you know-
so I'd have saw that because I don't think
Yeah.
any.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, that's. All right. So getting back to the notes here. Shift click is no longer tweak mode. Control click for tweak mode. So shift has been changed from a lot of different things because now it's your activate run speed sprint item when you're doing heroic movement. So shift now has a different role. So control is what you're going to be using for a lot of what shift used to be used for. I believe it's control in the mouse wheel now for changing the size of props or maybe it was props or the voxel brush. One or the other, you have to, instead of just being mouse wheel, because now I think mouse wheel is pretty much natively in all forms, zoom in, zoom out, and it's using a modifier for any of the other things. So that's nice that they refined that and they made it so it's uniform across building, travel, and combat. So there's no break in the usefulness and conventions of things. Yeah, they actually changed a lot of the bindings. Definitely look them up because you might find things in places that you weren't
It's almost
expecting.
going to be a completely new game.
In terms of interacting with it, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to feel like a noob all over again. Relish the feeling.
Yeah.
Taste the noob. Wait a minute. Hang on. That didn't come out the way I wanted it to.
So, template storage for contest winners and player studio entries is now going to be just kind of waived. They won't take up any space. So if you put in an item
Yeah.
on player studio, and it gets accepted, it doesn't cost you voxels in your storage, in your template storage. If you have a
Which is
winner
very fair.
for one of the contest entries, it won't cost you any voxels, which is nice because some people, spend over 1 million voxels in their template
They,
just to be
they
able
do a
to.
lot of yeah.
Uh,
I've seen plenty of the bigger builders complaining about I am out of space because I'm hanging onto copies of my entries.
I've had people say, "No, I deleted them. I needed the space. Like I won. That's
Both,
fine.
both
It's in
have
the
happened.
world."
Both are tragic.
So we were given the ability to buy more space pretty recently, but now we actually have stuff that helps kind of mitigate the amount of space we have based on the stuff that we're actually doing.
Hmm.
Changed a lot of keybinds back to pre-patch. Yeah, infantry aircraft. Well, yeah, they said they're going to give us the ability to customize our combat controls. They just didn't give it to us on the player clients. It's only active on the admin clients. So they'll eventually, probably bounce the servers and bring it up, or do something like that. Just a simple fix and make it available. But yeah, I would like to have very specific, like, this is your builder keys, this is your movement keys, this is your combat keys, and this is your driving keys. I think that would be really helpful.
I mean, I still hate my mouse changing when I add a
Mm.
weapon. Like, I just want to be able to move the way I move. If I want to change it, let me control that. I don't want that happening automatically. But if I'm running with
Yeah.
a tool, it should be the same way as running with a weapon. I don't know why that should be different.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I definitely like the idea of things being as uniform as possible, but I also like the idea of people being able to break their controls apart and customize it as much as possible based on what's comfortable
Yeah,
for
as long
them.
as we can customize it, that's fine. I just don't like it happening automatically.
I mean, some people might be, yeah, I play my combat part like an FPS and I play my builder part like Minecraft, and,
Hmm.
some controls might be common, but there's plenty of others that might be off.
Mm.
D-Man, go home, you're drunk. Dota didn't steal your code. You are not responsible for MOBAs.
Is that what he's trying to say? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, I think so. Did you work on, like, seriously, D-Man, did you work on Dota for Warcraft 3, the Dota mod? Because if you did, mad respect, dude. That definitely did start the MOBA trend. But I don't think I don't know. I don't know. You're a good builder. You're a creative dude. Yeah, you're drunk. Yeah, that's what I thought. All right. Getting back on the subject here. Goofball. um, that actually, I think that is everything.
No, I mentioned
Yeah.
character customization.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
right.
what-
That's right.
Yeah, what is this character customization before OB?
They're
I can't
talking
remember.
about right before open beta. That's when they're really going to be
Okay,
putting in the
thank you.
push for putting your customization, your sliders, your aesthetics, and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
and that's usually when those features go in, is kind of late in the game.
Yeah, I think
Same
they had
thing,
been.
UI polish, things like that.
It was in earlier on the blueprint before, but yeah, I mean we can play without it. I don't think we desperately need that to play or test or whatever we're doing right now. He did say that it's not going to be super duper robust. We aren't going to be having sliders for chin mole hair.
yeah,
And
pore size.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's not going to be outrageous.
Yeah, so that's nice, and I can understand they're going to keep things so they don't have to break apart the rigs and do funny stuff to make Player Studio or SOE mode rather work. SOE mode is, I think, one of the main driving forces for how they've designed the characters, and when they were saying about the sliders and the shapes of the eyes and that sort of stuff. I know one person said, "Oh, no Asians" or whatever. Actually, the characters already kind of look a little Asian to me as it is. So I
There are
don't.
some. Yeah, we can do that.
So I don't really think that's going to be an issue, and I don't think it's not that we're not going to have different types of patterns for eyes. It's just we're not going to have fine detail and fine tuning. They're going to be,
Yeah.
handcrafted, set and rigged and put in place sort of things. So it'd be really hard to make adjustments without having weird, freaky things that would happen.
Yeah, I think the disappointing thing is we might not be able to create aliens, but
Yeah.
that's okay.
Well,
I'm sure it'll come over in time, and that's the kind of thing they'll add new races and features to
Yeah.
character creation all the time. I'm sure.
it's something they'll plan for. It won't be here's the features to turn your human into an alien. It's here's all these features to make a totally alien looking thing. 4 arms, go for it. 8 boobs, here you go. 5 butts, why not? I don't know. Why I don't for some
Yeah.
reason when I think of aliens, just add more parts on humans. I think that's just the sci-fi I grew up on.
And they did sound like they're kind of trying to push open beta for around March-ish.
But yeah, I was going to
Um,
say it's definitely not happening this year. Still, even
Oh yeah,
though
it
the
can't
talks
happen
starting.
this year, and I
Yeah.
think it really can't happen before March because. But it'll be interesting to see. I mean, they have to add NPCs in sometime.
Ooh.
We have to have more than just 5 mobs to fight. And
Yep.
we,
Yep.
at December 26th is when the we'll be up to 5 mobs. So December 10th is when we'll be up to 5 mobs. So um, I think we're gonna have to have time to play around with NPCs and stuff. So I don't see it happening before March. But they definitely made it sound like they want to wait to push some features off until after open beta. So
Yeah.
would that be Storybricks tools? I don't know.
It may be. That might be one of those later features because let's face it, if you're a Minecraft kind of player and maybe you're thinking about something, this might appeal to you. It's going to appeal on all the strengths of its building tools already. It's not going to draw those people in to play the game that it is right now based on its PvP or its PvE per se. It really is going to be the building element, I think, more than anything that's going to draw folks immediately to the game. So they can probably slide on some of the more advanced stuff if they have to.
Yeah. There was a comment earlier, by the way, about character customization, the DCUO, and DCUO does have a really nice character customization to it, but that's actually something that's very
It does and it
it's
doesn't.
it's engine
It does and it
specific,
doesn't.
and I'm going to tell you why. That's using the Unreal 3 engine, and the Unreal 3 engine has beautiful character customization features. You can do a lot with your characters. I was just playing some game the other day. Game wasn't that good. I don't really remember the name off the top of my head, but man, the customization, you could make your character look awesome. You could change out every different large and small part on the character. Super modular.
But here's the thing about their character creator. The character creator is you can highly customize your character in sort of the outfit you're wearing, but your character itself is fairly generic compared to some other MMOs that have really advanced character creators, because for example, it's a small, medium, or large body type. There's no
Body type,
slider.
skin type,
It's kinda-
skin tone.
Yeah, it's all kind
But
of
skin type is way diverse. Like you could be a robot, you
Yeah.
could be a lizard person or a cat person.
Absolutely.
you
And
know.
if you're super creative, you can really come up with some nice and interesting mix and matches. But at the end of the day, you're not doing a lot of customization to the actual face of the character. All their customization is about the items you're putting on the character more than anything else.
Yeah, that's fair. Um,
Which I think is where this game's going to probably end up landing in a lot of ways. It's not going to be, there aren't going to be 75 options for the face. But you may have well more than 75 options in clothing items to mix and match down the road, no problem.
yeah, for sure, for sure. So we are getting pretty close to the end of the show, so it's probably
Yep.
about time to wrap up. Were there any last subjects that either of you wanted to bring up real quick, or otherwise it'll be time to wrap this up here?
Yeah, we can wrap up.
All right.
Yeah, nothing super special. I think we've hit all the major things this week.
Cool
Did you
deal.
want to finish up that blueprint? The blueprint order isn't. put
Oh
in order?
yeah. The blueprint is not in order. They said they kind of put the items up there, and those are the things that are kind of vaguely in place for that period of time. But it's not, this item, then this item, then this item, then this item, so much as here's everything in kind of a blast. It might be alphabetical, but or it might not be alphabetical, but that's the order things are not going to be in. That's just relatively the next things we're looking to work on for the next few months here.
Yeah. Major stuff is on the blueprint, but it's going to be updated probably
Yeah.
by next week.
Yep.
Yep. All right. So this has been live feature rant here, everybody. Thank you all for coming, everybody in chat, anybody watching this on YouTube after. Thank you very much. We have, of course, Adam not working and making things awesome, but being here this week because being here is where he's usually at. And I'm definitely
Exactly.
I'm glad to have you back. It was a fun episode last week, but it's always good to have you.
I appreciate that. I missed you guys. Believe me, I would have much rather have been here talking Landmark than dealing with the drama I was at work that week.
Yeah.
Well, you got money for that.
Yeah. Yes, in theory.
Yeah. Well, and then of course Dygz. Always great to have you back. Definitely
Yeah,
gotta have
always
you,
fun to chat with you.
Great. I love to hear it.
gotta get you on more regularly. Anytime you want to chat or
Yes,
whatever.
exactly.
I guess when I'm always on from noon to 2 weekdays and 10 to noon weekend. So if you want to hop on and chat for a little bit during the Landmark Daily Show, just hit me up.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Okay.
Cool. All right.
There you go.
But that is it for the show, everybody. And we are going to be heading over to Kremchek's channel. I believe I saw him fire up a little while ago. So that's where we're going to be moving this party here. Thank you all for coming. See you all over there. Have a good one.
Bye.
And we will be back next week.